Elaine? Okay. So this is multiplying unit multipliers, and a unit multiplier is something like this. 12 inches is the same thing as 1 foot. Y'all remember doing this? Mm-hmm. And 1 foot is the same thing as 12 inches. That right there is considered a unit multiplier. That's what they call it in math. Unit multiplier. Okay, now, in this lesson, what you're going to do is they're going to tell us things like this. Convert 5 hours into seconds.
Ooh.
Okay, now here's the problem. Does anybody see a problem with what they're telling us to do? It's in hours into seconds. Do we know how many seconds are in an hour? Not just immediately, okay? So what you're going to have to do is go hours into minutes and then minutes into seconds, okay? This is what we're doing. So the very first thing I think you should do when they're asking you to convert that something into another thing is you're going to figure out how are you going to do this. Okay? I need to go to hours to minutes and then minutes to seconds. Okay? Now, something they kind of give you a clue on is they say use 2 unit multipliers. Okay? And the reason why they tell us to use 2 is I'm fixing to show you. Okay? So if I have 5 hours, okay? How many, first we have to do this conversion, so this would be our first unit multiplier. So how many hours are in a minute, or actually the other way around, how many minutes are in an hour?
300.
Oh, no,
60 minutes in 1 hour, right? So what I want you to do is go in and write that down. 60 minutes in 1 hour, and 1 hour is 60 minutes. See how I wrote my 2 multipliers right there? And now I'm going to choose which one I'm going to use. Does everybody remember, I can't remember if this was in the beginning of the year or last year.
It was in the beginning.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody remember when I multiply 5 hours times, which of these unit multipliers am I going to use first? I have to pick one. Anybody remember? Well, we're wanting to change it from hours to minutes, so we want the minutes on top. Does anybody remember that? So I'm going to want my minutes on top. So watch what happens. If you can't remember that, it's okay, because watch what happens. We see that we want our hour and our hour to cross out. Does everybody remember this? This was kind of taken back like probably 40 lessons ago.
Yeah.
Okay? But right now we're just converting it from hours to minutes, and then we're going to convert it from minutes to seconds. Okay? So if I have 5 hours, and I'm going to use this unit multiplier, so I don't even need this one. Okay? 60 minutes for 1 hour. So let's go on and answer that. 5 times 60 is 300 minutes. Okay? And I can just leave that, I can put it over 1 if I need to. But the hours are crossed out, so 1 times 1 is 1. So I can put it over 1 if I need to. Everybody good so far?
I have the answer.
So now I have to convert 300 minutes to seconds. So this was my first conversion. Now I'm going to go from minutes to seconds, which is my second conversion. That's why they said use 2 unit multipliers. This was my first unit multiplier. So now let's multiply this. All right. How many minutes are in a second? 60? Or actually 60 seconds in a minute. So what I'm going to do is write 60 seconds for 1 minute, and 1 minute equals 60 seconds. Okay, those are the 2 I can choose from, right? Which one am I going to use if I want to change it to seconds? I want the seconds to be on top because that's what I'm changing it to. So I'm going to choose this one, 60 seconds for 1 minute. That also helps me to see that minute and minute cross out, which we know that we've done it right. Okay? And now let's just multiply. What is 300 times 60?
1,000. 18,000.
18,000, and all that's left is seconds, so I would put seconds. 18,000 seconds is what 5 hours is. Did we get it right? Yes, we did. Got it?
Yep. Oh, really? It was not that
Pretty
hard.
easy?
Yeah.
Okay, so when they're saying use 2 unit multipliers, this was our first, and this was our second. Okay? And the reason why we had to use 2 is because we didn't know how many hours were in a second, or how many seconds were in an hour initially. Okay? So you had to go to hours into minutes, and then minutes into seconds. All right. Let's do another problem, and this one's totally different. It's not really using unit of measure. This is more feet, centimeters, inches, and things like that. So, for example, let's say I had a rectangle, 3 feet times 2 feet. Okay, now, how would I find the answer to this one?
Wait, what was the answer for the last one again?
18,000 seconds.
Yeah, 6 feet squared.
6 feet squared, very good. So I would do 3 times 2, which would get 6, and then feet times feet would be feet squared, right? Okay, now, this is important to make note of, because what they're wanting us to do in this next problem is they're wanting us to change 6 feet squared into inches. So here's what they're wanting us to do. Change or convert, whichever, convert 6 feet squared into square inches. It's very important that you're seeing this squared. So very important, I can't even tell you. So we're going from feet into inches, okay? But there's a problem with this. Do we know how many inches are in a foot?
12.
Yes, so that one, it's not going to be as hard because we already know that. So we don't actually have to do 2 per se. So here's what I want you to see. If I were to write this out, we're going to go from feet to inches. Remember how I told you that needs to be your first step? Figure out what you're doing, okay? I'm going from feet into inches, okay? And the next thing you need to do is figure out how many inches are in a foot. And we've already done that. 12 inches for 1 foot, and 1 foot is the same thing as 12 inches. Okay, that just helps me know what I'm doing. Everything's kind of out on the table. Okay, so now let's convert. And this is where this right here is important. So what you're going to do is this. You're going to go 6 feet times feet. You're going to expand it. Very, 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 very important. So when you have a square measure, write this down, put a star on it, whatever. Whenever you have a squared measure, or cubes, but you're actually not going to have any cubes. A squared measure, you're going to expand those measures. You'll see why in just a minute. Write that down, put a star on it, highlight it, do something. Okay, so we take the information we know, 6 feet squared, and I made it 6 feet squared, just expanded it, and I want to change it into inches. Now, which one am I going to choose, this unit multiplier or this one? I'm wanting to change it into inches, so inches needs to be on the top, right? So this is the one I'm going to use because I'm changing it to inches, and I want the one on top to be the one. Everybody remembers that, right? Okay, so I'm going to multiply 12 inches over 1 foot. Now, hopefully you can see that this has 2 feet to multiply, and this one has 1. So guess what you have to do? Because we are moving this to inches squared, I have to do this twice. Now, what I want you to see is, if I were to cross these out, feet, 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 feet. That's why it's so important that you make sure you put your feet right here, expanded, so that you know you have to do 2 of these. That's why it's so important. Okay? But it's also important because we wanted inches squared. And if I only had 1, then it would be inches squared. But now that I have 2, it'll be inches squared. Does everybody see that? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's why it's so important that you're focusing on that right there. Now, let's do this problem. It told us to use 2 unit multipliers. We have. This was our first one, and this one's our second one. Okay, so now we go 6 times 12 times 12, and I'm going to cheat, which is 864. And because my feet have crossed out with these 2 feet, all I've got left is inches. Inches times inches becomes inches squared, right? So my final answer is 864 inches squared. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Hard? Easy?
Easy.
That was harder than the last one.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
It was. It is harder. Do y'all want to do one more?
no.
Do I want to or do you?
Do you need to? That's probably a better question.
No.
No? You really think you got it?
Yes.
I want to do another
Okay, so
one.
here's what I want you to do. I want y'all to try one on your own, and then I'll do it on the board.
All right.
Don't look at your book. Close your book. Don't look at it, or you don't have to close it. Just don't look at it. I want you to convert 5 yards squared to square feet. Feet squared. First step, make sure you're following your steps.
So.
Okay, pay attention to this square.
I
You're
got
going
it.
to have to expand it.
I'm pretty sure I got it.
Yard times yard. Make sure you're doing that. Don't
Do I
forget
have
that main thing. That's not what the book says. Okay, this is probably really hard, and it's okay if you didn't get it. Okay. I'll give y'all just a few more seconds. Finish up. Can you see when I'm right here? Am I in the way? Oh, because I'm kind of like in.
Oh, you're good.
Okay. Oh, I can't tell how many times I do that. Okay, so hopefully you are kind of finishing up. Let's go on and look at this one and try to figure it out. First step is to do what?
Find out which.
Figure out what I'm doing, okay? Well, right now I'm wanting to convert from yards to feet, right? Yards squared to feet squared. But what is the yards to feet unit measure? There are 3 feet in 1 yard. So I'd write that down. 3 feet is 1 yard. 1 yard is 3 feet. Okay, what was my second step? Okay, we're going to expand. So let's take the information we do have. We have 5 yards squared. 5 yards squared. Okay, but I want to expand it so it will help me remember. Yard times yard. Does everybody see what I did? Okay, and I want to change it, convert it, so I'm going to multiply to feet squared. And because I'm wanting it in feet, which one am I going to use? This one or this one? First one or second? First one, because I want it to be feet, and you always want the one on top to be what you're looking for. Okay? So I'm going to multiply 3 feet over 1 yard. Okay? You might think, oh, that's what I'm supposed to multiply and I'm done. But hopefully you see that when I start crossing out, I've only crossed out 1 yard. I still have a yard, and you can't have 5 times 3, 15 yard feet. Okay? Yard and feet don't multiply together. Okay? Problem. Okay, I need another one of these to multiply by. So you have to do it twice. Okay? So I'm going to mark out this yard and this yard. Okay? And because I'm wanting it into feet squared, it's good that I have 2 of them, because now it's not just going to be feet, it's going to be feet squared because there are 2 of them. Okay, so now I go 5 times 3 times 3, which equals 45, and feet times feet equals feet squared.
I got that.
I got that.
Oh, so, I'll get it in a minute. So, 45 feet squared is the final answer, okay? Everybody understanding?
Yes.
Okay, so these are different because we already know feet to yard, but what makes it hard is that you have to do this. On the measures that you have to go from inches to feet and then feet to yard, those are different as well. So you kind of have to know what you're doing. And that's why it's important for you to write out what you're doing in the beginning, okay? That's lesson 88.